Hello tie-dye family. Thought I would take a couple minutes and show you guys how I make my sinew pullers. You can make sinew pullers out of just about anything, and of course you can get the really fancy wood ones. I do have a couple of those, but these work really well for me, and they're really fairly inexpensive and easy to make, so I thought I would show you. I also make them out of, like, I believe this was a thread spool. And so that works just fine too, but for this video I'm going to show you how I make these ones. So what you're going to need is an empty sinew spool. If you're anything like me, you probably have a lot of sinew getting, down to the end. These are really heavy duty spools on the inside of here, so I don't like to throw them away. Honestly, I don't like to throw anything away. I really love to repurpose anything that I can. So this one I emptied today, and I was going to make another sinew puller, so I thought I'd just make this video so I can show you guys how I do it. You will also need some self-adhesive athletic tape. So that's what these strips are here. The athletic tape itself is probably about 4 inches wide, so I cut them into 4 strips, just because I don't need the full 4 inches for what I'm about to do, and I probably won't use all of these strips. I might. Haven't really decided. It's a matter of preference, really. But all you're going to do is you're going to take this sinew spool, and you're going to wrap the athletic tape on both ends of it to create a stopper so your sinew doesn't slide off the edge. Out of frame, I have a hot glue gun warming up. You will also need a hot glue gun and hot glue. That part is optional, but I recommend that. I don't know if you guys have this problem, but I always have the problem when I'm working. I set my spool down and it rolls and it rolls and it's rolling off the table. So that drives me crazy. See, it wants to roll right there too. So what I do is I add little dots of hot glue, and then my sinew puller does not roll off the table. So it's fairly simple. I mean, you probably don't even, I've explained it pretty well, so you probably don't even have to watch the video to understand what I'm about to do, but I'm going to go ahead and do it for you guys so you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my strips of athletic tape, and I'm just going to start wrapping it pretty snugly around one of the ends here until it sticks to itself, and then I'm just going to keep rolling it. I like using this athletic tape because it's really soft on my hands when I'm using the sinew puller, and it's grippy, so the sinew, it's just that added protection that the sinew is not going to slide off the end of it. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. If you're using your sinew off a regular roll and it's a big roll, a lot of times it'll slide off the end here and then you have a big knot, and it's kind of a nightmare to get that unwound and fixed. So that's with one strip, and it's got a pretty good lip on it, but I am going to go ahead and do another strip over the top of that just so we can raise that lip up even further. Okay, there we go. Got a nice lip on it now. Pretty happy with that. So I'll do the same thing on the other side. And since I used 2 strips on that side, I'll do 2 strips on this other side also. second strip here. Okay, so that's the basis of our design. It does roll a little bit. This is kind of grippy, but if I was on my regular table, it would just keep rolling off the table. So that drives me nuts. That's why I do the hot glue thing. But before we do that, what I like to do is take another one of these strips and I'm going to thread it down through the tube. Grab some scissors because I don't need all that extra, but that's just going to add another little layer of protection, kind of keep everything in place. Let me grab my scissors. I'll give a little bit extra just so I can secure it on the inside there. And we're going to take this other piece, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I love that this athletic tape is sticky, but at the same time, it likes to stick to itself while you're trying to work with it. So that could be a little bit of a headache, but not bad. There we go. Stick it to itself inside the tube there. So now when you go to roll your sinew, since this is grippy, it just helps that sinew kind of stick to that so it's not like rolling around the tube while you're winding it. I'll kind of show you guys when I'm winding up my sinew. If I can even find the end here, there we go. So when I go to wind my sinew on it, what I'm going to do is start with a slip knot. I don't know if you guys know how to do a slip knot. I assume if you're a tie-dyer you do. But you're just going to create a loop. It's hard to explain unless you're doing it. There you have a good slip knot. And then I'll slip that slip knot over the top here. And when I go to cinch it down, instead of it rolling around the cardboard tube, it's going to cinch down onto that athletic tape. Now I'm not going to do this yet because we're getting ready to do the hot glue, and that's going to take a couple minutes to dry. Now the only drawback to this design is that, you know, I don't have a way to like hook it up to a drill to quickly wind my sinew, but when I'm watching a TV show or something, it's very simple to just wind it around. So let me grab my hot glue gun. I'm sure that's ready to go. And then all you're going to do is where you crossed this piece over, this is going to help secure the athletic tape as well as give you your roll stopper. You're just going to put a little bead. Do that on both sides. And flip it around. If you want to add some other beads, you know, to stop it from rolling, that's perfectly fine. I even thought about, you know, decorating these, like maybe putting some little jewels on there might be kind of cute. But I'm not really looking for, ooh, watch your hot glue gun. I'm not really looking for pretty as much as I'm looking for functional. Now we're just going to let that hot glue dry. So just little roll stoppers on there with the hot glue. I touched one, so I got a little bit of a hot glue run here. We'll fix that after it dries. But yeah, essentially, that's all this is. It works really great. When I put my hand here, it's really soft up against my hand. I know with my wood pullers, they're really sturdy and they're good, but most of the wood pullers have round ends on them, and so they still roll off my table. And it's also kind of hard when it pushes up next to my hand here. So I like this design because it's soft, it's sturdy. Of course, these tubes are, you know, they're heavy duty tubes. I'm afraid to touch it to check. We're getting there. Yeah, they're pretty good. Okay, so I'm gonna go grab a different roll of sinew because I have some sinew I prefer over that stuff, and then I'll show you the winding process. Okay, so here's my sinew roll, and I didn't have a sinew puller for this stuff, so it is a little janky looking because I've been using it as a sinew puller, but you can see this edge, and if you're not careful when you're pulling, this edge is going to pop up and you're going to have a mess, so we don't want that. So I'm going to tie my slip knot. Slip it over my end here. I'm going to cinch it down, And when I go to cinch it down, because that athletic tape is there, it's not gonna budge. It's not rolling, just rolling over the cardboard. And from here, it's just a matter of manually rolling it. I like to take quite a bit of leeway off of my Sinew roll. That makes wrapping it quite a bit faster. I don't have a lot of room to work with, but normally I would take a lot more off when I'm wrapping this. So you're going to wrap it like so. And if your hand gets tired, you can kind of switch this around and wrap it towards you. I mean, it's the manual way to do things, but those Sinew pullers aren't cheap, you know. They're like, there's some of them out there, they're like $60. And I don't know about you, but that's like, I don't know, 4 rolls of Sinew I could buy. I'm not dissing on people who make the Sinew pullers. I definitely have a few. But sometimes, you know, you buy a few and that's enough, and maybe you have different kinds of Sinew. As you can see, I have several different widths and shapes and types of Sinew, so sometimes you need more than one Sinew puller. So this is an easy DIY just so that you have some other options for pulling your Sinew. This also works for, I've made one for a fishing line, I have one for a kite string. Works pretty good for whatever. So I'm not going to bore you with the whole winding process, but you can see there's our Sinew puller. If I drop it on the table, it's not going to roll. Love that. Some of these other ones, oh, that one's not too bad. But see, it'll get to rolling, and then it's going off your table. So I highly recommend the hot glue trick to stop it from, you know, it's one thing to roll off the table, but usually that's not where it ends. You know, it rolls off the table and then it unwinds, and then you've got a big mess, and you're in the middle of a tie, and you're trying to do something, and now you got to stop and do something else. So it can be a little aggravating. But yeah, anyway, easy DIY Sinew puller. I mean, for the sake of the video, it took me, you know, maybe 10 minutes, but making one just to make one, it's like 5 minutes, and it works great. So there you go. Hope that helps.